Welcome to the Theater of Others podcast. My name is Adam Marple, and I'm the co-artistic director of the Theater of Others. With the COVID-19 pandemic forcing a shutdown and reevaluation of space and gathering, we at the Theater of Others are thinking about what stories we need and how best we can share them. We believe space is psychology, and it informs the way in which an audience interacts and reacts to what is presented to them. We create uniquely theatrical events in bespoke sensory performance spaces crafted to encourage curiosity and grant the audience permission to commune with the play. Now that space has moved online, how can we encourage interaction and action amongst an audience virtually? The Theater of Others produces plays that both welcome and challenge the audience. We are committed to international collaboration and are a laboratory that helps artists grow through intensive study of their craft. The Theater of Others creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purpose of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question, to join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task, and it requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? On the podcast today from Melbourne, Australia, our co-artistic directors Budi Miller and myself in Cairo, Egypt. This podcast contains explicit language.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Budi.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am
Light?
really good. Thank you, India Irene.
Mm-hmm.
I am light. I am light. Wait,
You're doing
did
good.
we go see India Irene live together?
We did. It was at Marina Bay Sands. That's right.
It's all coming back to me.
Coming back. Yep, exactly.
That was a really good performance, wasn't it?
It was. It was like jazz fest or something.
Yeah.
Out in front of
and that was
out in front of Marina Bay Sands.
That was when she released I Am Light. That was the release of I Am Light.
Mm-hmm.
Which has become a canon song for training.
That's right.
Yes. And she says, I'm not my father's story. I'm not my mother's story. I'm not my skin tone. I'm not my ringtone. I am light.
It's a great song. Everybody should go check it out.
It's a very good song.
Wonderful
Are we going to
song.
put it in the show notes?
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah, of course Jack is.
Jakina, can you please? And of course, we are once again podcasting without our producer.
We're just flying blind without a net. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
And
like
I can't
elephant
believe he actually
sounds,
trusts us
marching
to do this
bands.
alone.
He's off editing the other podcast so that we can do this podcast, and so the other podcast comes out on time. So he's doing his job.
Wait, what podcast came out today?
You and Future.
Oh, wait. Then what's the other podcast?
What other podcast?
I'm confused. See, it is all like, you know how
It's
like
all
the
in Jack's
day
hands.
like blends into one day.
Yeah.
Every single podcast we've done up until now has blended into one podcast. I'm looking at. I'm sorry. I just got taken aback by my color coordination is really good today.
That white lady's necklace is looking really good on you.
There is another white lady's necklace. It is another white lady's necklace. It's the same white
as long
lady.
as long as you're supporting the tribe, that's great. That's really wonderful. That's,
this one is an indigenous. This one is indigenous, Native American African. American.
This white lady made this indigenous Native American African necklace.
American.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Your dollars are going
cute,
to
though, isn't it? It's
help the
very
community.
nice, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It's a lovely. It's very.
Do you see who's on my? Do you see my? Now this is an African American artist. Can you see it? Can you see the?
It's a little fuzzy. It's just my bad connection, so I can't really You know,
it's got all kinds of portraits of African American contributions. It's like a it's like a tapestry collage fabric. It's really cool. And so, what I'm loving is this turquoise. The color of the turquoises are matching quite well. If you go to the YouTube, you can see us. Is Jack still putting the YouTube up?
yeah, of course he is.
Oh, okay.
Of course he is. It's still going out there. I'm wearing a white shirt from the 2024 American Eagle collection.
You look like you look like you just got out of bed.
Nope. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just hot,
Why are
so
you
I'm
wearing a
wearing
white shirt? Why are you wearing a white t-shirt?
because it's hot. It's hot
It's a
outside.
podcast, Adam.
Yeah, a podcast that you listen with your ears. The majority of the people
A
are listening
video
with their
podcast.
ears. They're not
There's
going to
a
YouTube
video as well.
and nobody. There ain't nobody going to YouTube. Nobody's going to YouTube and
Then
watching
just go
our stuff.
topless. You look better topless.
Yeah. That'll demonetize us for the one person that does watch on YouTube.
We got money.
No, exactly. Maybe we have money. I'm making OnlyFans. There we go.
Adam's OnlyFans would probably make a lot of money. Everybody wants to see
Adam's
you on
OnlyFans
OnlyFans.
lose money. Nobody wants to see me on OnlyFans. Nobody lose money.
Maybe we
Somehow
should
I'll
take
end
a
up
poll.
owing OnlyFans money.
Maybe that should be our provocation.
There we go. Do you want to see Adam's OnlyFans? That's our provocation. No, will not make us money. Somehow it will lose us money.
Yeah, it's like so we could do like on Instagram when they have like the like yes or no swipe right for yes or swipe left for OnlyFans yes or no.
Right, exactly. Adam's coming into his zaddy area. Would you like to see an OnlyFans?
The zaddy area. Oh, isn't that adorable?
Oh God,
How is Cairo, by the way?
it's good. It's good. I mean, it's gotten really hot. But it's fine. I'm enjoying the going around and seeing new things, and school year is over with, so saying goodbye to folks and having parties and whatnots and seeing shows now. So it's lovely.
When you
But
say
it's
it's gotten really hot, what do you mean?
Well, let's see what it is today. Today's not too bad, actually. Today's bearable, but there are these winds called the Hamseen winds, which are the winds that blow in from the Sahara Desert, and that's basically the start of summer. And it started basically. So today's 94 Fahrenheit, which is actually not that bad, but it has gotten up into the hundreds last week.
94 Fahrenheit is what? That's like 40?
30. I think it's 38. What it is. As long as I've lived overseas, I still have not figured out the metric system.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
I have challenges with Fahrenheit now. I'm really good at Celsius now.
No, I'm not. No, I'm good with length because of design, and because of cooking, I'm good with baking measurements. But like Fahrenheit, Celsius, I think Singapore is mostly like 36.
No.
So I just base it
32, 33. 30 between
Okay.
Singapore's between 30 and 32.
Okay. Well, then it's 36, 38 here. But it got up into
That's
the
hot.
40s. It got up into the 40s last week, so
Girl. And it's
Yeah.
dry heat?
it's dry heat, so it's like a sauna. But the sun is intense, so white shirt. White shirt.
Okay.
White shirt,
I now
shorts,
forgive you.
flip-flops.
I now forgive you for wearing
Yeah.
the white shirt to the podcast.
Exactly. And after this,
I
I'm going to go
wore
out.
all the color.
You wore all the color. I'm going to go out and get in the pool afterwards. So I'm just, ready to just go through that door
And then go home and bite your pillow.
and go home and bite my pillow. Exactly.
Oh my God. So, Adam,
Yeah. Come on. You can do it.
are we going to answer the questions?
Yeah. We can answer the questions. I mean, not today, but
When are we gonna answer the questions?
When we're a little bit more prepared.
I thought we were
It's not
answering
even
questions today. We're not.
it's not even a question. It's more of just a statement back to us, which we should absolutely respect and play on air. But it's not. We're not answering
Is it
anything.
a speak pipe?
It's a speak pipe, yes. Um,
Oh,
which
do we know who
but
it's
it's
from?
it is from. Well, why are we going to say the person's name? We're not doing it right
Okay,
now. That's
okay,
really rude of
fine.
us.
We won't say it. Okay, we won't say it. But I want to do the speak pipe next time.
Okay, we'll do it next time when we're doing book club.
Yeah, we're doing book club. What is the book? What's the book this week? This month?
The book next week is "And Then You Act" by Anne Bogart. That's our
Yes,
next
yes, yes,
podcast.
yes.
And we'll both be
So,
getting off of planes and jet lagged and doing a podcast.
oh my God, it's gonna be so funny. You need to listen to that one because we're gonna be so intelligent.
We should do book club drunk. So we'll be jet lagged and drunk, and it'll be phenomenal. So tune in, listen to the two of us completely unhinged.
In fact, that's the best part about what I like about Sleep Till More is the drinking
Is
and
the
the
drinking
unhingedness.
the
Yeah,
unhingedness?
that was fun.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice, good, nice. Mm-hmm.
Because it starts off with at Sleep Little More starts off with you start off at the bar at the
At the
bar.
bar, exactly. You got to wait for a little while, and while you're there, you might as well pound a couple of drinks
Yeah, like
because you
real
don't.
drinks. They
Yeah,
actually
real
serve real
drinks,
cocktails.
real cocktails, and especially if you've never been there before and you don't know what the experience
Yeah,
is. Even if you
yeah,
have, like, yeah,
definitely.
you want to be a little loose because you're about to experience something really really cool.
I will. I told you the experience when I went to auction. When auction I went. That's why it is. It was because y'all. My husband is not an actor, and to see my husband put on a mask because they have these mandatory masks that the audience have to wear.
Yes,
They're like these like the duckbill like masks they
plague
used to wear
doctor.
for the plague. And having Akshay put that mask on and have his normal body up underneath that mask, it was the funniest thing. I almost got thrown out because I couldn't stop laughing because it was so arrestingly funny.
I can imagine. I can absolutely
And
imagine.
and, and I also love but I also love I love how like everyone looked like ducks running after things.
Yeah.
It's like some action would happen, and you see one duckbill turn, then you see four duckbills turn, then you see all the duckbills turn, and then you see everyone scurry towards where the action was. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I also remember how anonymous people would behave because you
Uh-huh.
had to keep the masks on so your behavior shifted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember when I remember there was someone at the candy bar and they
Uh-huh.
raided the candy bar
Yeah.
and they were inside because they like it was like an apothecary. It was like a speakeasy bar, but like an apothecary with all these like bubblegum candies in this jar, in these jar like
Uh-huh.
apothecary jars. And if you go behind the bar, open up the jars and eat all the candy. And I went crazy. I was like stuffing my pockets with candy, chewing
They
bubblegum the
sp-
whole trip.
yeah. People they I had a couple of friends who worked there. They said that people steal so much every single week that they just have a warehouse of extra things to replace because it's not just the candy. Like some people are stealing birds. They're stealing like legitimate props. They're stealing things, and they just have to replace it because it's just they just chalk it up to like that's what the experience is going to be because you're wearing a
Wow.
mask, so you're
So
not yourself.
yeah, exactly.
You're anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yeah, yeah,
Anonymous.
but not for much
So,
longer.
well, that's the thing, Adam. So what are we talking about today?
So I woke up in the middle of the night and I was on my phone and I came across an article that I sent to you. Um,
Hmm.
and I thought this might be a good thing to talk about because Sleep No More is closing after 13 years.
Womp, 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 womp.
And this article talks about, obviously a lot of people loved it for it to be for 13 years, but how it changed over time, and how it also spawned offspring that may or may not be good for the industry or for the genre, specifically the genre of immersive theater. So that's kind of what we're talking about today in this article from
Yeah, so
Slate.
why don't you read the article so everyone can come on board with us in our conversation?
Yeah. Okay. This is from Slate, their June 9th article called Sleep No More, No More. The mixed legacy of New York's most famous immersive theater production, which is closing after 13 years, by Tara Isabella Burton. I was 22 the first time I went to the McKittrick Hotel. I was 22 the second time I went, and the third too. By the time my 24th birthday rolled around, I had spent almost every spare weekend there. The McKittrick Hotel is not, of course, a real hotel. Rather, despite its insistent marketing, this New York City converted warehouse is in fact a performance venue, home to the red velvet Art Deco-themed Manderley Bar, complete with nightly cabaret shows. A rooftop bar inspired by Scottish witch folklore, and at one point, a restaurant inspired by 1930s night trains. But at the heart of the McKittrick is Sleep No More, British theater company punch-drunk, sprawling, intoxicating, dance-based pastiche of Shakespeare's Macbeth and Hitchcock's Rebecca. Sleep No More, inarguably the most famous contemporary immersive theater production in New York, is closing its doors on July 7th, bringing an end to 13 years of phantasmagoric dreamscapes. Its most ardent fans have been steeling themselves for months since Punch Drunk announced that the show would wrap up at the end of January, and then February, then March, then April, and so on. Presumably, this current extension will be the last one, although previous patterns suggest that may not be the case. There are final trips to coordinate, actors to see one last time in our favorite roles, drinks to order at the Mandalay, all part of this ritualistic nature of a fandom that has, for better and for worse, become an obsession for many. In 2012, when I started going just a year into the show's run, Sleep No More had not yet spawned its legions of immersive interactive successors. The production's premise: 600 or so audience members wear uncanny white plague masks and are released to silently wander a six-story dreamscape of their leisure, followed favorite characters rifling through props or gaining a coveted one-on-one interaction with an actor in a private room, was relatively novel. Social media had not yet streamlined the show's secrets, although dedicated Sleep No More fans, and soon I became one, had already started posting elegiac recaps on their experiences on Tumblr. Some of us went dozens of times, some hundreds. One or two obsessives got close to 1,000. We made fan playlists, fan costumes. We came up with ritualistic one-on-one encounters of our own, performing them at McKittrick parties with one another and receptive performers alike. Back then, we thought of and spoke of the McKittrick as our home. Most of us superfans, in one way or another, were disillusioned with what seemed like ordinary lives we lived. I was a restless graduate student, unsure of what I wanted or what I believed, but whenever we entered the Mandalay, greeted with extravagant flair by men in tuxedos and women in black sequin dresses, or got taken into secluded chapel to pray with Lady Macduff, or received a lipstick kiss from the Queen Witch Hecate, we became strangers to ourselves. The world of the McKittrick, we believed, or let ourselves pretend to believe, was an enchanted one, not just by the witches who heralded Macbeth's downfall, but by a stranger and more widely suffused magic. Every line of Macbeth, Puntruck's leadership was fond of saying, could be found somewhere in the McKittrick, translated into a flock of dead birds in Macduff's apartments, a hidden letter in an antique door, or a secret room with an asylum where Lady Macbeth performs wordlessly a version of Out, Damn Spot. That meant that every moment of our show experience meant something. Within the McKittrick's walls, we could live, for 3 hours at least, a life surrounded by significance, even if we were little more than shadows in that world. The times I spent at the McKittrick were among the most formative of my life. A decade later, I based my novel, Here in Avalon, the story of an immersive theater troupe that may or may not be a cult, on the midnights I'd spent at the Mandalay Bar. At best, Sleep No More and the legions of immersive and interactive productions it inspired galvanized us to reimagine theater as a site, not of disengaged spectatorship, but of participatory witness. By inviting us to be part of the stories these productions told, challenging us to examine our own complicity, standing silently, say, during the murder of the innocent Lady Macduff, or else seduced by the orgiastic gyrations of the distinctive sultry witches, Sleep No More challenged us to remember the ritualistic origins of theater as a place for audience and performer alike to lose ourselves, to emerge transformed. If there was something even a little bit religious about the encounter, that was the point. In contrast to the heady explorations through the McKittrick's corridors, ordinary proscenium, that is, theater, began to feel pallid and removed. Compared to getting a kiss from a perfumed witch in a boudoir, watching a Broadway musical or reading a piece of new writing felt almost like watching television. And at a time when smartphone culture was just beginning to proliferate, Sleep No More premiered in March 2011, less than a year after the release of the iPhone 4 and the launch date of Instagram. Participatory theater felt like a tantalizing, even subversive rejoinder to a life already starting to narrow under the algorithmic flattening of content. Not only could you not use your phones in the McKittrick, you couldn't even show your face. By now, of course, things have changed. Today, Sleep No More's particular brand of vintage nostalgia and interactivity has become a virtual requisite for shows seeking to seduce audience members, with the promise of, rather than a genuine artistic encounter, a mediated capital E experience. A chance to dress up, drink, and participate in a highly curated and often social media-friendly atmosphere. There are highly eroticized immersive experiences like Cocktail Magique by burlesque troupe Company 15, which blends striptease with thematically selected cocktails. There are adventure theater walkthroughs like Accomplice the Village, which blends storytelling with escape room style puzzles. There are immersive adaptations of classic IP, a roaring 20s immersive Great Gatsby, for example, as well as Shawshank, an interactive cocktail experience, which encourages audience members to take the role of the incarcerated Shawshank Redemption style. Some of these productions dispense with the pretense of theater altogether, instead branding themselves as made-for-Instagram immersive exhibits, like the recently closed Midtown installation Wonderland Dreams by artist Alexa Mead, and the ongoing custom-curated immersive experiences at the Hall de Lumière and New York's Financial District. At their best, immersive productions offer a magical, intricate, wonderful experience you just get lost in for hours, says Nick Atkinson, a former Sleep No More performer who originated the role of Maximilian Martel, one of the Manderley's in-show cabaret hosts. But increasingly, immersive has become a catch-all branding term, bearing the same relationship to genuine experience as content does to art. At worst, the popularity of productions that bill themselves as immersive play to the audience's potential narcissism, our collective desire, affirmed by a culture driven by social media, to be the main character, not only for our own lives, but also for someone else's show. In this context, immersive theater can be less an escape from smartphone culture so much as its natural extension, another place for us to narrate, whether through social media or simply our own consciousness, the story of our own lives, less a place to lose ourselves than to reify our selfhood. By becoming part of the show, often in highly aesthetized ways, we pass up the opportunity to experience the sheer otherness of a theater. Encounters with characters whose stories for a few hours become far more important than our own. Contrary to what so many of us once found in Sleep No More, many of today's shows that bill themselves as immersive merely foster the idea that the audience is the star, or as Atkinson puts it, gotta get those selfies to put out there. Much of this shift can be felt even at the McKittrick Hotel these days, with Sleep No More less a piece of avant-garde theater than a requisite must-to-do for out-of-towners or couples on their third or fourth app-facilitated date. Sam Booth, another longtime Punch-Drunk collaborator who has performed in the company's two most recent UK shows, The Drowned Man and Burnt City, reflected on how the social media era had changed the audience dynamics of the shows he'd worked on. Once Atkinson recalls he was performing as Maximilian in the Manderley, pouring my heart out on stage, and a spectator sat down with their back to him, texting and scrolling through Instagram.
Oh my God.
And although punch-drunk performers have traditionally separated audience members from the companions they'd arrived with, encouraging them to explore the space on their own, in recent years, audience members have become more resistant to breaking off from their friends or dates. The promise of a solo transformative experience, however risky, is for many audience members less compelling than the social element of attending a now notoriously aesthetically exciting production. Audience participation has given way to harsh entitlement in other ways. Among the biggest challenges for Sleep No More cast and crew, former staffers have alleged, is the persistent tendency of audience members to disrupt and sometimes sexually harass actors.
What?
It would be possible to read Sleep No More's popularity and its wider legacy of immersive content as a harbinger of a wider cultural shift, one in which we have begun to expect artistic experiences to revolve around us, or as indeed to think of encountering art as a specific kind of personal experience. The more we become accustomed to living our lives as a source of content, the more we want our relationship to artistic production to be one that centers our own subjectivity. More and more of us hunger for experiences where we are not asked to pay attention to others, but where others, performers included, interact with and pay attention to us. The idea that we should be part of the show, once a transgressive invitation to challenge the boundaries of us and them, has now become an all too common excuse for treating theatrical outings as a backdrop to boost our ego. But to blame immersive theater itself for this shift, Booth warms, would be to ignore the very factors that made Sleep No More such a potent production in the first place. Immersive theater, he points out, has its roots in the kind of all-encompassing religious rituals that were once an ordinary part of human social life. The churches were the art centers of their day, Booth notes. They provided a very rich sensory experience, from the art to the music to the physicality of being there. The idea that you could experience a transcendent shared reality outside the ordinary has long been not just an aesthetic phenomenon, but a spiritual one that seems all the more necessary in an era where, as Booth puts it, many of us live in artificial urban environments disconnected from nature, from our bodies, from spirit. I do not know if I was most or least myself when I witch kissed my cheek in a perfumed, darkened room, but I know that for these moments I was part of a story that had nothing to do with my daily life or who I was in it. Those are the moments that Sleep No More, at its best, offered us, and in its wake, those are the ones we need most.
Rest in peace, Sleep No More. Maybe, possibly.
Yeah. Maybe, possibly. Exactly.
We're closing next month. Next month. Next
Or
month.
the next month.
Next month.
Or the next month.
Or the next month.
Maybe next month. Maybe we could squeeze out a summer. Just we're done at the end of the summer. Well, Halloween is coming, so you got to get the New Year's crowd.
Well, that's it's interesting because I recently had a conversation with a student who was talking about there's an actor in the new Mad Max film that plays a child molester, and he's being harassed on Instagram, on the socials, for playing a child molester.
Wow.
And I was like, that's so fascinating, because that's clearly a generational thing. Because my generation, when someone is in a film performing and portraying a role in a film, we know that it's not real.
Right.
But when you look at these kids that grow up with phones in their hands, talking to phones in their hands, seeing
Content is
posts
every
and
day.
lives, content is every day. They don't understand the division between performance and live.
Yeah.
Which makes me think about Sleep No More and why it's ending. And also the situations where people are texting as opposed to being with the live human being that is going through something quite authentic right in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, sexual harassment is just,
Yeah. That's
I've always been concerned by those elements of the Sleep No More genre, because because you do have women bringing people into closed corridors by themselves.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's all kinds of security and everything, but because of the way that the show is immersive and it's all around you, like they can't be everywhere all at once, and all it takes is one grope and then you're removed, but the grope has already happened. So it's like I said, people feel like they're anonymous, so they can do anything, and so it is more brushing and touching and things like that. It's a lot of just, what can you get away with? And in a way, I hate to say it, because I have so much respect for Punch Drunk. It's not that they encourage it, but they don't. That is part of like what is so enticing about their shows, is that, wow, I can get away with anything. I mean, I'm a good person, so I would never do that. But at the same time, like, I realize that I do actually have the freedom to steal. Nobody's looking at me. I'm alone in this room by myself, and I can just do whatever I want to do, and nobody would know. And there were many times when I did feel that. I saw the show 7 or 8 times, and each time it was I got a different experience, and I was always amazed by when I found myself alone in a space, and that thought in my head came of like, I could do anything right now. I won't, because I'm respectful. I'm a theater goer, and I would hate to fuck this up, but I realized they have built it for me to have that thought, which means they're, in a way, kind of okay with that, or they accept that that might happen. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
So, how do you feel about all this?
Well, it's a theme park now. I saw I
Yeah.
saw the original production. It opened in Boston and was blown away. I mean, this was 2000, 2008, 2007, 2008, somewhere around there is when I saw it. They opened it in Boston, and they hadn't done anything in the U.S. and they, were very not really well known, but they were known in the UK for doing this kind of work. But this was by far the biggest thing that they'd ever done. And then they finally came to New York, and then they sold it. Actually, Punch Drunk sold the company, they sold the production to an entertainment company, which then opened the hotel and the bar and the restaurant. There's a Punch Drunk Shanghai. There's it's a brand. It's like a McDonald's. It's a franchise.
Hmm.
Whereas if you go and see their work, I saw Drowned Man, I saw Burn City. Um, they're still pushing boundaries and doing things, but like the cat's out of the bag. Like I kind of come to expect those things. So it's hard to say. It's like it's not Sleep No More. It's not Punch Drunk. It's this own kind of thing, which was great. And I thought it was good overall for theater and for what we as a company have always pushed for, experience and immersion and things like that. But I didn't take into account the social media, how the audience has changed social media wise. So I think it's probably
Hmm.
good. It's lived its life, and it's time to close that door. But what takes its place?
Are
What's
they working
next?
on any? Are they working on anything new? Have you seen any
Punch Drunk?
news about new work?
I read something a little while ago. I'll see if I can find it and put it in the show notes. About their yeah, because they were doing this big project in the pandemic, and they actually streamed it online. It was a 24-hour show streamed online. So like they're still trying to figure out what immersion means and what their kind of work can be. But it's one of those things where like they're the victims of their own success. Everybody
Hmm.
knows what to expect now, and they want that. If you've seen Sleep No More, and you're not a theater going fan, but you're just a tourist. It's one of the things that you do when you come to New York. You go to Sleep No More,
Hmm.
then you want more of that, and you go to London and you can go. Oh, you can go see this thing, and it's like the Drowned Man wasn't great. I mean, in terms of like the content and the design and all that, beautiful, stunning, and they were using Wojciech and 1950s Hollywood mashup, but I just didn't care for it like I did Sleep No More.
Hmm.
And it was kind of because it was like formulaic, and that's the thing is like they're the victims of their own success, so they are trying to figure out like, well, what do we do now? How do you create immersion when everybody is immersed in things? How do you
Hmm.
create an experience when all of society is now experiential?
Yeah. How do you do that? You send them to the moon.
Well, that's just another experience. That's just another
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I mean, I I am a man of very simple taste, Adam Marple, as you know.
Yes, exactly. You just like a good piece of
Very
crusty
simple
bread,
tastes.
yeah,
You-
glass of
it's-
water.
I will go back to crusty bread in a second because there's a phenomenon that I learned about with crusty bread. But
Yeah, you're a meat and potatoes kind of guy. It's yeah,
I'm a
salt of
meat
the
and
earth,
potatoes kind of guy.
just
I
working
am.
class, blue
When it comes
collar.
to my theater, I like to be moved. Just move me. Just move me. You don't have to physically pick
Not
me up
physically
and
move
move
you,
me into another
right?
room,
Exactly.
but just change me. I
Hmm.
want to feel changed.
Yeah,
I want to go in and see a show and come out changed.
be
And I
different.
think that what Sleep No More did was they beautifully gave us an alternative to what live performance can be.
Hmm.
And I and the design around it was just is I think I feel like it's like this immersive theater. Can immersive theater cover exactly what Sleep No More actually was? Because I feel like it was more than just immersive theater.
Yeah.
It was an installation, it was an art installation, it was performance art, it was live music and jazz performances, it was
Hmm.
cabaret. And as the article so eloquently explains, is it was an event. It was a
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
It was a happening.
It's the whenever I'm looking for a translation for the word theater for my tattoos, I'm always looking not for the building, which is we talked about this definition early on. It's not the building, it's not the drama, it's the event, a
Mm.
night of theater. That's the encompassing idea, and that's exactly what it felt like. It felt eventful. You couldn't just you couldn't just pop up and go see that show. Like, no, you had to prepare for that.
Yeah.
It was 3 hours long, and you didn't want to leave early. I can't imagine. I've never heard of anybody who was like, "I'm good" after 30 minutes, and then no, you wanted to stay. How does this end? Does it just keep on going? Is it
Yeah.
just on a loop forever? Like, how do you get out of this? And
The end
then
is quite exciting too.
the end is, yeah, it's a good way to end it.
You know, Stephen Goldney. Go ahead.
I went there for New Year's. They had a New Year's party. So imagine that
Oh, how's
ending.
that?
So imagine that ending, and then the blackout, and then a rave basically erupts from it. And it was
Wow.
it and we so and you had to come dressed up, and you had to come with your, you had the mask and everything else, and then you took that mask off and they gave you another mask. So it was a masquerade ball, and it was just
Oh, cool.
6 floors of just like, I'm surprised it didn't devolve into debauchery by the end of it, but it was really really cool. It
But
was
that's
really
New
cool.
York. Like,
Yeah.
ah, people don't go out anymore.
No, they don't.
People don't club like they do like in the old days. Like, they do in Berlin.
But yes, as you reminded us.
The art of going out and dancing still exists in Berlin. But I was just thinking of like Galtney went to go has gone to see it a few times as well, and he was telling me that like the last time he went, he was able to watch it from a design perspective because he's constantly writing plays that that interact with people moving around, and he tracked the ending and where it came from.
Yeah.
Do you know how where it came from? You know how they did that?
You mean from the story?
Yeah, well, how they moved the set,
The
how they get
table at the end?
yeah, how they get the big table, like open like that. Do you know what's
No,
set
tell
there
me.
before that? It's the forest.
I can't remember.
It's the witch's forest.
Yes, that's right. On the wheels. Yeah.
Yeah. So the witch's forest moves, and then they're able to get the table in. But because people are so enamored by the ritualistic space, the focus narrows in on the action. So it's really hard to want to look at anything other than what is happening. I think that's what's so brilliant about this show to get people to come back. There's so much stimulus that it's impossible to get the entire show the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
There's so much adrenaline the first time
And it's
trying to
it's it
discover and
is
figure out.
it's novel. It's so incredibly novel, and you've never experienced anything like this. So you're just kind of punch drunk, which is what the name is. Then you
Hmm.
realize I missed out on so much. I
Hmm.
really was able to do anything. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that anything. I'm going to open drawers. I'm going to follow this one character. I'm going to do the plot. I'm going to do a design. I'm going to do, um, I know one of the actors. I really like this actor. I want to see what their through line is. I want to know where the loop changes. There's so many ways of looking
Hmm.
at it, and then And then you go with somebody who's never been before, and then you're watching it through their eyes. And you kind of want to take them like, ooh, I really want them to see this room, but I also can't like tell them to go down that space because it's their experience. So you're watching it like, it's it was amazing. It was stunning. And then it became something else. I'm really curious. I'm really curious what it's like in Shanghai. What a Shanghai audience.
How long has it been in Shanghai?
Let me see.
I love Shanghai. I bet it's amazing in Shanghai. But it's fully masked, I'm
26
sure.
2016, since
And
2016
it's still going on.
to 2024. Yeah, it's still going on. They haven't announced that it's closing.
They have not announced it. Only the New York franchise is closing.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure that, I don't think that in Shanghai they have the hotel like they do in New York. I think it's just the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is it just Shanghai? And is it anywhere else in the world?
No, New York and Shanghai.
I'm sure it's freaking amazing in Shanghai.
It's reimagined. So still Macbeth, but set in Shanghai in the 1930s. 5 stories
That's
across
cool.
5 stories across the newly built building of the Jing'an district.
That's cool. I'll have to go. Next time I'm in Shanghai, I'm gonna go see it. Let's see. This is okay. So this was the other thing that I wanted to address. I feel like since COVID, I've become a germaphobe.
Sure.
You've seen me when I get into those scenarios where I could possibly catch COVID,
Yeah.
and I turn into what do I turn into, Adam? You witnessed it.
How do I say this nicely?
Uh, is there a rude way of saying it?
You were hyper vigilant. I'll say that you were hyper vigilant.
Are you saying I'm a COVID bitch?
I'm not. I'm saying you're hyper vigilant.
I was hypervigilant. I get hypervigilant. I'm hypervigilant because of all my travels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'm a one-man show. If I get ill, then the show is closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I've had my 7th vaccination.
Jeez Louise.
I've had my seventh shot.
I don't think you need 7 shots. I don't think it's you're just doing safety. Like your insides are basically just like a hospital. Yeah, your insides are just porcelain at this point.
Well, I touch wood. Touch wood. I've been in really high level situations, what do they call it? Super spreader situations, and I haven't caught it. So I trust
Because you just
that
keep pumping
my
yourself full of
vaccinations have
vaccine.
been helping me. Because I keep pumping myself with the vaccine, baby.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Yeah.
But the reason why I bring this up is because I don't think I'm alone in the scenario of being close and breathing on strangers.
Yeah, I know, but this has been popular for, it's been 4 years since the pandemic, since we got shut down, and they're not closing down because they're not selling out every single night. They're still selling out every single night, but that's not the reason they're closing down. That's the reason a lot of theaters closing down, but I don't think this is the reason they're closing down.
I don't even think that's I'm not even addressing it for the reason why they're closing down, but just addressing it for this type of theater. I think we touched this when Jen was on the podcast. We were talking about Fuerza Bruta and what's the other one?
De La Guardia.
De La Guardia, yeah. And I remember that it was like you went expecting to come out wet, even in the wintertime. You went to these performances expecting to be soiled by the performance, be kissed on the tongue, lifted up into the sky, rolled around in the muck on the floor. Like,
Yeah.
is it maybe I'm just old and curmudgeonly.
Get off my lawn. Turn down your devil music.
I don't want nobody's tongue in my mouth. That would
No, there should
horrify
be
Akshay.
there sh- there should be a limit. Yeah.
If we went to a performance like that, Akshay would be so mad at me having strangers touch
Yes.
him
Yeah. Oh,
and
well,
kiss him.
I'll
He'd be so
I'll sh-
angry.
I'll share with you some things because obviously I teach immersive theater and I research a lot of it as well. There's a production I should share with you called Barzak. Was it called? Is that the name of it? See if I can find it really quickly. And it's like it's too much.
Wait, what
What's
is
the name of it?
Barzak? Who does it?
Oh, what's the name of it? Let me find it. See if I can find it real quick. Jack, cut this out because it's going to take me a minute. Maybe I shouldn't even
Can
talk
you
about it.
screen share?
Let me see if I can even find it where I got linked.
That you mark this
Barzak.
projected?
Yeah. Okay, it's called Barzak, and so willing people have to. The website warns when you buy a ticket. We insist that you don't buy a ticket if you suffer from nyctophobia, fear of the dark, aphinphosmobia, fear of being touched, aquaphobia, fear of getting wet, automysophia, fear of getting dirty, somnophobia, fear of going to sleep, asthma, and especially epilepsy. So talk about trigger warnings.
Wait,
Like,
fear of going to sleep.
it is. I mean, I can't even. I'll link it in the show notes for people to read if they want to. It's. I don't know if this is theater. Like, this looks like people are paying
Share
for you
screen.
to people are paying for you to torture them. Basically, is what I think it
What?
is. Yeah, it's a bit. It's weird. You see if they still have their site up.
Is it BDSM?
It's borderline, I think.
So it's not theater.
Well, I mean, by our own definition that we've created, it is.
What's our different? What are we up to on our definition? By the way,
I knew you were going to ask that. Of course you were. The live in-person human experience of phenomena that creates temporary alternate realities. So yeah, it does. Sean Rogue's Barzak. That's what it's called.
Okay, did you find it? Did it have videos of it?
Jack, cut all this off.
Do they whip people with a whip?
No, but you're in clothing that they give you to wear.
Okay.
You're on the floor on your hands and knees.
What?
You're wet. Yeah. Oh, it's yeah.
Okay, so why did they put you on the floor on your hands and knees?
That's because I don't know. It's part of something called the Waldorf Project. Waldorf Project is a radical, immersive experience on a grand stage in which art is consumed through all the senses. The project will run over a number of installments. Chapter 5 will be staged soon. The experience will unite the senses through movement, sound, food, scent, psychology, and environment. Key to this concept is the synergy between the various aspects of the event and the imagination of the creative team. From its genesis 8 years ago as a multi-sensory dining experience, the Waldorf Project has evolved into a daring experiment in consciousness transformation. Yeah. So that's I mean, part of it is like there's 8 hours long. There's some sleep deprivation. Like it's a consciousness experiment is what it is. So is it theater? But people want it. People want those kind of things. People, it's not your New York tourist who's going to see this. It's somebody who is wanting, something.
Rational.
So I don't know. It's durational. It's haptic. It is. It's sometimes borderline BDSM in terms of like there may be pain, there may be very uncomfortable experiences. You're gonna get it's like the Stanford prisoner experiment. You're gonna get yelled at. You're gonna be made to do things.
No, thank you.
I know, right?
What happened to the day and age where people would that spoke soliloquy?
What happened to once upon this mattress? Where can we get a good musical nowadays?
Okay, on that note, I think we should take a break and come back with some provocations.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary conforming individuals, you are listening to the stereo sounds of JDB, Jack David Burmester. And we're back. Okay, Adam, we are at provocations. Do you
That
have
we
one?
are. I do. If you've never seen Sleep No More, then this entire discussion is probably just FOMO of going, what the hell are these guys talking about? But have you experienced immersive theater, and what are your thoughts about it? I just want to hear. Um, it's become, when we saw Sleep No More, there was nothing else like it. It wasn't something that was happening. It was the De La Guardias and the Fuerza Brutas and the Sleep No Mores that were like, wow, this is so amazing. But now I feel like everybody has seen immersive theater or experienced
Mm.
immersive theater, and I would love to hear what people think about it. Good, bad. It's had its time. It still has things to offer. Is it just a passing fad, or is it something that is like theater needs to reinvest in this and do something with it, and it needs to continue to grow and um, open up avenues that proscenium theater cannot offer. So that's all. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I want they want to experience as immersive theater. If they have any ideas, bring your ideas. Let's flesh them out. What makes you think this certain thing would be really great from an immersive perspective as theater?
Mm, yeah,
And how would we know
indeed.
they did this, Adam?
They're going to go to speakpipe.com/theater of others. Again,
Mm.
speakpipe.com/theater of others, theater with an RE, theater, all one word. Leave a 90-second voice message on there, like somebody has done for us that we have not answered. We'll play it on air eventually. And if you don't want to have your voice there, you can send an email to podcast@theaterofothers.com. Like I said, we will read it. We will cherish it, as always. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and our website.
Telegram, y'all. Mm.
But the only way that they're going to know about our book club or our interviews or anything that we've got coming up is if they do what, Budi?
Subscribe. Subscribe. You gotta subscribe if you want to know what's going on. We come to your inbox week. That's week for 4 years. 4 years we've come to your inbox week. Through rain, sleet, or snow. And if you really like us, you can do like my Uber driver and give us 5 stars. You give me
That's
5 stars, I give you 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
5 star, 5 star, 5
Oh,
star, 5 star. It is a win sum the game. The zeros just keep summoning up, and we all win, and we all win.
that's
And
right.
if you really like us, you can leave us a message. You can leave us a message. You can say, "Wow, that necklace that Budi is wearing, it's worth 5.2 stars." And because I like the necklace so much, I am going to leave a comment on how stylish he
Mm-hmm.
is. That goes into our algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, we go from the top 5% podcast of the world to the top 1% podcast of the world. And Adam Marple, you know what happens when that happens. You know who comes on there.
Mm-hmm. I do know. I'm looking forward
Who?
to it.
Who is it?
Oprah.
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 Exactly. It's
Oprah.
Oprah. Of course it's
Oprah.
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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oprah.
You
Oprah.
better do. Yes, you do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
you know who comes if Oprah comes. the Virgo.
Of course. Always following in the wake of Oprah, Beyonce.
Beyonce. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Beyonce.
And Beyonce always brings who?
Michelle Obama.
Exactly. So how could you not join in to the whole game of bringing these Black women on our show?
Right. Why are you being racist? Why are you keeping these Black women from our show?
Why are you being racist, keeping these Black women from our show? These strong Black women from our show. Have you seen Maya Rudolph do Beyonce on Hot Ones?
On Hot Ones? Yeah. Of course.
I need you to reach into my bag, get that bottle lotion, and spray it. Oh, Adam, I love you.
I love you too.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, book club. Here we come. Jet-lagged book club.
Yeah, and we'll both, the jet-lagged book club, because we will both be an EST, well-traveled,
That's right.
well-rested.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And for the rest of y'all, we'll be in your inbox next week. Bye!
Thanks for joining us this week on the Theater Brothers podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theaterbrothers.org, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. A special thank you to Purple Planet for the music you've heard. The Theater Brothers creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purposes of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question, to join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task and requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? Be sure to tune in next week for our next journey.